Hello everybody, my name is Ken and I'm the host of the Ikwanas Tahab, or the Brethren of Golden English. And 2026 was a very special year for me. So far so good. And I'm going through a lot of changes, transitions, and endings a lot throughout this year. And one thing I want to do for the collective, and maybe even for my own benefit, fingers crossed, is do a collective or group read for the final quarter of 2026. So the way I'll be doing this is using these dice, and I'll be casting Geomancy. I'll be casting 4 Geomantic Mothers, one for September, another for October, third for November, and fourth for December. That would be the final quarter of the year, basically. I will cast a Geomantic position for each month of the last quarter. Then I will, using the 4 mothers, generate a shield chart. So this is a 3-in-1 video. Haha, kind of like the Christian theology. I will be casting a geomantic reading for the year, end of the year, like last quarter of the year. I will be casting a geomantic shield chart for the last quarter of the year, and this will be my first time recording me ever completing a geomantic shield chart. And then thirdly, I will be casting an I Ching reading, as you can see right here from my I Ching cheat sheet. I'll be casting an I Ching reading because Geomancy and I Ching follow the same rules in terms of how to cast them. 4 Geomantic Mothers have 16 characters in them, and 2 I Ching hexagrams and 1 I Ching trigram is 15 characters, which is just one shy away from 16. So if we cast all the points in a geomantic figure, in 4 geomantic mothers to make them 2 I Ching hexagrams and 1 I Ching trigram, we can not only just get a good sign geomantic wise for what the last quarter of the year is going to be, we can also get some feng shui in too. So without further ado, let's get started in this 3-in-1 combo I got for y'all. Let's do a general, specific, and I Ching. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Let us cast our first mother. 5, 4, 2, 5. Odd, even, even, odd. So our first mother is odd, even, even, odd. So September we have the carcer, which is the prison. So one thing we should know is that the theme for September and the final quarter of 2026 is restriction, a sort of entrapment, a sort of this is Saturn and Capricorn, so it's a very Saturnine kind of resisting force, a binding force basically that will be the theme of September. And then next what we'll have is October, the geomantic figure for October. 4, 5, 1, 5. Even, odd, odd, odd. So even, odd, odd, odd. So that's Caput Draconis, that's the head of the serpent. So that's the theme for October. October being the head of the serpent represents how there will be a lot of change that happens out of the entrapment that happens in September's, I guess, a restriction. So within the restriction, there's a change that happens in October. Now, finally, we're gonna do November and December. Let's cast November's mother. 5, 1, 2, 3. 5 is odd, 1 is odd, 2 is even, and 3 is odd. That is the puer, that is the boy. So the theme for November is the boy. That's kind of funny. Okay, it's gonna sound wildly inappropriate, but y'all know No Nut November, you know, the vitality, the times where boys become men. That's kind of funny. That kind of struck in my mind. But on some serious notes, November being the boy represents the rashness, like the rushingness, the naivety, the youthfulness in the masculine department, at least in the masculine aspect. And what we have basically is a rush of something in November. Now, finally, we have the mother for December. So let's see what the mother for December will be. 1122, odd, odd, even, even. It's Fortuna minor, I'm pretty sure. Odd, odd, even, even. So this is Saturn in Capricorn, Rahu in Aquarius, Mars in Aries, and Sun in Leo. So pretty much an all male reading. That's interesting. This half latter quarter of the year will be a burst of masculine energy, basically a burst of masculinity, starting with Saturn, ending off in the sun, basically. And what's interesting is that the Fortuna minor representing the sun in December could represent the winter solstice, basically. Because think about it, it's the Fortuna minor, not the Fortuna major, right? So this to me could represent that there's something that's happening, either the winter solstice or Christmas. That could be an interesting time for us. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna construct a geomancy shield chart. Watch this. Shebang. And there we go. Here's the template of the geomancy shield chart, right? And now we're going to plug these four mothers in the first four houses, and then we're going to do the symmetry and the mathematics all by hand, all by mind, without technology. Not for the camera, but for my personal satisfaction. All right. So now we have the geomancy shield chart. Okay, so we have the 12 geomantic houses. We also will have the right witness, left witness, the judge, and reconciler, but we're not really going to apply those because this is more of a general. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each one of the 12 houses and review how they're relevant. So the first house, representing the identity or self, being in Carcer, kind of means that we are kind of identity wise, like trapped. Like we may be trapped into what we have confined to ourselves socially or world wise, or we could be trapped in I guess our own self. The second house, representing material wealth and possessions, being Caput Draconis, represents how there might be a change in what we own. There might be a metamorphosis or I guess you can say like a fluctuation in what we begin to possess monetarily, physically, mentally even. The third house of communication, represented by Puer, means that there might be a rashness to speak, like a rashness to communicate, or like a rush to get something out spoken for you. The fourth house, representing Fortuna Minor, the house of the home, representing Fortuna Minor, represents how there's an opportunity that could be in our house, maybe opportunity to have more responsibilities in the house, maybe an opportunity to have more roles in the house or your family. Just something family or house related is going to have opportunities. The fifth house is the house of, let's see, self-expression and creativity and passion. So the puella, or the beauty representing our expression, can mean that we're expressing ourselves in a very beautiful way. The house of careers, the sixth house, representing the Caput Draconis, could represent a change or a metamorphosis in career, maybe in the position, or maybe a new job, or maybe even a new, what's it called, a venture in your career. The seventh house is the house of all relationships, all intense and meaningful relationships, like friends, enemies, all these other things. And we got Rubius, Mars and Scorpio. This represents passion, fieriness, even violence and anger, even. So there seems to be a point of contention or a point of passion happening, whether for the good or for the bad, in our meaningful relationships. There is the house of death, which is eighth house, and that we got the Cata Draconis, which is the death sign itself. So it's actually a really good sign to get the eighth house in. The ninth house, we have the ninth house, the house of of science, technology, religion, like higher arts, basically. And the Kata Draconis, once again, like the ending or like the completion of a cycle, being the ninth house, could mean that we've probably completed a certain field of study, or not necessarily completed it, but we've reached like a ending, or we've reached like a threshold in a certain field of study, and we're advancing to a next level, possibly in whatever we're studying, possibly a higher education, a new topic, a new mastery. The 10th house, the house of reputation and stature, is represented by Tristitia, which is sorrow, grief, depression. So the only way I can really view this is that our status, our identity is a point of sorrow. I actually, of all the takes I've made for this, the Tristitia being in the 10th house kind of confuses me the most. 11th house, which is don't tell me, don't tell me. I'm not gonna check the book. I'm not gonna check the book. The 11th house is the house of don't tell me. Sorry, I didn't check the book, I promise you. But the 11th house, the house of societies, social groups, socialite entities, platonic, friendly relationships. This being Fortuna Minor can represent that there's opportunities being presented to us in our social groups that can help us grow more with them. Now, a Missio representing the house of limitations, which is the 12th house, to me represents that there could be a release of things that are limiting us, or possibly a letting go of something that has been no longer serving us a purpose and has actually been limiting us more than helping us. And that is the 12 houses for the final quarter of 2026. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the I Ching reading. Finally, we have the I Ching part of the reading. The I Ching part of the reading has basically the 2 hexagrams and 1 trigram. So counting the points on the geomancy figures, we can actually make a I Ching reading out of this with 2 hexagrams and 1 trigram. If you add 2 hexagrams and 1 trigram, you get 15 characters, which is 1 off from a total amount of characters in 4 geomantic mothers, which is 16. So 1 is yang, 2 is yin. Yang, yin, yin, which is mountain. Yang, yin, yang, which is fire. So mountain over fire makes, from what I understand, I remembered from reading this, it represents, so we can use our cheat sheet here. Mountain over fire is 22. So it gave us grace. So the first hexagram we got for the I Ching reading for the quarter of this year is grace. So this quarter is gonna be a quarter of grace, folks. The next thing we're gonna have is the second hexagram. So yang, 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 which is heaven. Yang, yang, yin, which is wind. So heaven over wind. So we check the cheat sheet. Heaven over Where's wind right here? Okay, heaven over wind is 44. You check 44 right here. Coming together, so grace and coming together. The wind is below the heaven, the image of coming together. So the superior person's influence is felt across the entire domain. So we have the 44th hexagram. So we have 22 and 44, which is interesting. Those are multiples of 11. Finally, we have the last trigram, which sets the whole deal. Basically, we have yang, yang, and yin, and we already had yang, yang, and yin previously. So yang, yang, and yin is wind, basically. So we have the grace, the coming together, and then the wind as our I Ching hexagrams and trigrams. That is the whole video explaining the process of doing the I Ching geomantic reading and geomancy shield chart of the last quarter of 2026. I hope to see y'all guys in a later video. I love you all and peace out.